Hi, John Farrell with the Farrell Law Firm here. Today we're going to talk about whether you should worry about having to pay an estate tax. But first, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We put out new videos every Tuesday and Friday, and make sure you hit the like button. It always helps. All right, John Farrell with the Farrell Law Firm. To tell you a little bit about myself, I am the author of Estate Planning for the Modern Family, and I've recently been voted one of the top 3 lawyers here in Cobb County, Georgia, along with the law firm being voted one of the top 3 law firms here in Cobb County, Georgia. Well, today we're going to talk about whether you should worry about having to pay an estate tax. So the estate tax is something that your estate may have to pay after you've passed away. For a lot of people, they call it the death tax. It's a tax imposed upon individuals when they pass away. So they'll call it the death tax. So what they do essentially is take all of the assets that you have and add it up, and then you pay a tax based on the value of your estate. Now, many states have what's called an exemption, meaning that if your estate falls below a certain number, you do not have to worry about paying estate taxes. Now, if it's above that number, however, the tax is usually very hefty. In some places, even as high as 40%. So you can see the disadvantage to having to pay estate taxes. But first, let's talk about whether you should worry about paying an estate taxes. Number one, you shouldn't worry. The main reason you shouldn't worry about having to pay estate taxes are only paid after you've passed away. So unfortunately, you're no longer going to be with us if your estate has to consider whether it has to pay an estate tax. So don't worry about it now. But you may want to worry about it because it may be something that takes away from the inheritance that your family receives once you have passed away. So there's a reason to worry about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about Georgia. Georgia does not have an estate tax. In fact, there are only about 12 states in America that have an estate tax. But Georgia got rid of its estate tax in 2014 permanently. Before then, they used to just vote on it every year. In 2014, they decided, let's just get rid of it permanently. So there is no estate tax here in Georgia. But there is a federal estate tax that people should be concerned with. Well, some people should be concerned with. Remember how I told you about the exemption that there is to the estate tax? Well, the federal exemption is very high. So I only have about 3 or 4 families that come in a year that have to worry about paying federal estate taxes. That's because the exemption level for an individual in 2023 is $12.92 million. In other words, if your estate is below almost $13 million, your family's not going to have to worry about paying federal estate taxes. The interesting fact about that is that if you happen to be married, you can port over an unused portion of the estate tax exemption to your surviving spouse, making the potential exemption almost $26 million for a married couple. So you can see I don't have that many people a year come in that have to worry about estate taxes. Number one, Georgia does not have an estate tax, and the federal tax is so high. The exemption to the federal estate tax is so high that I only get 3 or 4 people a year that come in that have to worry about it. I often tell them they have the good kind of problems. If you're worrying about having to pay estate taxes, then you often have more than $26 million. And that's a good problem to have. So I tell them, why don't we trade problems? I'll take your problems and you can have mine. So for the most part, most people in Georgia do not have to worry about paying estate taxes. There are some that have to worry, but not because of Georgia's estate tax. Remember, it got rid of its estate tax in 2014, but there is a federal estate tax that some people have to worry about here in Georgia, but the exemption level is so high at the moment that there's very few people in Georgia that have to worry about their family having to pay the estate tax once a person passes away. All right, so in future videos, we're going to talk about the inheritance tax. Now, the inheritance tax is a little bit different, and we'll explain how that is different between the estate tax in upcoming videos. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We put out new videos every Tuesday and Friday, and make sure that you like the video because every like helps.